This book raises the topic of cuckooing. Its name comes from how a cuckoo is known to take over another bird's nest rather than build its own. Cuckooing is where a criminal gang will take over a vulnerable person's accommodation and run their illegal activities from there. It has links to county lines and the exploitation of young people by these gangs too. Currently, the act of cuckooing is not a criminal offence. This limits the powers that the police have to deal with it. In my experience when I worked in social care, service users with mental health were especially at risk. This is usually because they are isolated, lonely, and desperate to be accepted. I've seen cases where someone is sleeping in a cleaning cupboard in the communal hallway because they no longer feel safe accessing their own home. In the past, the response was often to evict the tenant, and potentially they'd be criminalised for the drugs and weapons found in their possession. Things have improved, and all agencies are more aware of this happening and tend to work together to find a coordinated approach. The problem remains that with most services so underfunded, there are limits to the time and resources that can be provided. Ideally, the person whose flat has been taken over should be rehoused, but with suitable accommodation in short supply, this isn't always a viable option. The problem is further complicated by the lack of consistent support for people who have a significant mental health diagnosis in the community. It's sadly commonplace for service users to stop taking their medication, becoming acutely unwell, and then remain unwell for months and even years. People without the right level of support are always going to be more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse, and this could be prevented with the right level of oversight. While we don't fund our community mental health services to an adequate level, those that rely on them will be left to fall through the cracks and be open to abuse. The teams that work in this sector do the best they can with the resources they have available. It's frustrating and often demoralising to know what someone needs and be unable to provide it for them. When society begins to take responsibility for those who are vulnerable without stigmatising them, we might begin to make more progress in making their lives better. Everyone is entitled to feel respected and cared for, and everyone should have an adequate quality of life. Our rough sleepers, those with mental health, young care leavers, and those who struggle with neurodiversity, all are entitled to feel part of society as a whole.